Hey, we're back. Food and Philosophy, episode 6. 'Tis the season, so I got some holiday Ikes. This is the Friendsgiving Sandwich. It's basically a stereotypical Thanksgiving sandwich, but with Ikes stuffing on there, and obviously there's dirty sauce too. I start with a few bites because I am hungry. This is still one of the best ideas I've ever had, to do a podcast while eating. I got it on sourdough, extra dirty, double toasted. It helps offset the sweetness from the cranberry. All right, last we left off was on the third agreement. Don't make assumptions. Like, I already lost. Don't make assumptions. I made some assumptions yesterday in a group text. Did not go well for me. Don't make assumptions, the third agreement. The third agreement is don't make assumptions. We have the tendency to make assumptions about everything. The problem with making assumptions is that we believe the assumptions that we're making are true, or we're at a minimum projecting it out onto the other person. We could swear that they are real. We make assumptions about what others are doing, thinking. We take it personally. I 100% took it personally. I was like, why is this person saying this thing? Totally assuming it. It actually made the conversation go way worse, like probably the worst it could go. All from an assumption that I made instead of asking for clarity. Then we blame them for reacting the way that they do by sending out more emotional poison. And they probably don't like us for that either. All the sadness and drama you have lived in your life was rooted in making assumptions and taking things personally. Someone's asking about the Portland location. Unfortunately, since COVID happened, Portland's hasn't been literally on our map. Hopefully sometime soon. I love Portland to eat in. Gossiping is the way we communicate to each other in the dream of hell, and we transfer poisons from one to another because we're afraid to ask for clarification. Why are you afraid to ask for clarification? Often we're there and we're having conversation with folks and we don't understand, but we're afraid to say that we don't understand. So instead we're just going to make an assumption and then be wrong, or worse, believe that we're right about our assumptions. And then we defend our assumptions like, oh no, I definitely am right and you're definitely wrong. And we try to make everybody wrong. It's always better to ask a question than it is to make an assumption. It's always better to ask a question, because assumptions not only make an ass out of you and me, that we also set us up to suffer, and them too. These things that happen in our mind creates a lot of chaos, which causes us to misinterpret everything. We literally only filter for the universe that we believe to be true based on our beliefs of things. If we think people are going to rip us off, we're going to look for that. If we think people are being lazy, we're going to find that. If you think people are dishonest, you're going to look for that. And the opposite is true too. If you believe the best in everybody, but you actually do believe it, you're going to be looking for that too. But stop making assumptions. We're going to misinterpret and misunderstand literally anything and everything. We only see what we want to see, and we only hear what we want to hear. And we don't perceive things as they are, we perceive them as we are. So what if we already know that we only observe the things that we know? We only observe the things that we are. We only observe what's within our sphere of awareness and reality. How can you change what you observe? It starts by stop making assumptions and asking more questions. Because we don't understand things when we don't ask questions, we just make something up. We're making up our entirety of our lives up already anyway. But here in this instance, we're literally making something up. We're making an assumption about that. We're making an assumption about the meaning. And when the truth comes out, and we're like, oh my gosh, actually, I was wrong. Or, oh, see, I told you I was right. What do you win? Making assumptions in a relationship is really asking for problems. In all of our relationships, are at work, at home, with your families, often we make the assumption that our partners know what we think and that we don't have to say what we want. We assume they're going to do what we want because they know us so well. And if they don't do what we assume they should do, we feel hurt. We say things like, you should know. I'm going to take another bite. Want some? So good. I should just eat Ikes every episode, I think. 1,000 sandwiches in 1,000 episodes, right? Making assumptions in relationships leads us to a lot of fights, a lot of difficulties, a lot of misunderstandings with people that we supposedly love. In any kind of relationship, we can make the assumption that others know what we think, and we don't have to say what we want. You do have to say what you want, though. How can you, like when you go to a restaurant, you don't say, just read my mind. No, you literally say, I want to, like for me, I didn't just say, give me 3 sandwiches. I said, I want a Friendsgiving sandwich on sourdough, extra dirty, double toasted it, skinny size the bread. I want lettuce and onions and pickles. Otherwise, how would they have known what I wanted if I walked in? You guys know what I eat. I eat here almost every day. How dare you not know what I eat? You must hate me. That's what. But we literally do that with people in our lives. We do that with the people that we work with. You would never do that at a restaurant. So why? It's not a foreign concept for us to literally order what we want. You have to say what you would like in order to get it, instead of blaming them or making them wrong. Or worse, we have the need to justify everything, to explain and understand everything in order to feel safe. We have millions of questions that need answers because there are so many things that the reasoning mind cannot explain. It is not important if the answer is correct. Just the answer itself makes us feel safe. This is why we make assumptions. Taco sandwich. I've already made a Jack in the Box, 2 for 99 cents, or whatever they cost now, taco sandwich, and it was delicious. So this stuff also happens to us neurologically between the ages of 0 and 3, where we're just making our rules about the world. We know what it feels like, whether it's to have the right to exist, to have the right to be loved, to love others, to be loved sexually, the right to be separate and still belong, the right to have our own consequences, the right to our own actions, and so forth. We're making these beliefs wired up for us between the ages of 0 and 3, and we've already made up so many meanings about the world that we kind of can't unlearn them, untrain them. We have to go through, feel it, and then change it based on making new neurological links through asking questions, through breathing through experiences, through, hey, even if you think all men are this, or all women are that, or don't trust this, or don't do that, or you're bad if you do this, and you're good if you do. Being through those things and just asking clarifying questions. Because if you're undertrained here, you're just going to keep reverting to what makes you feel safe, even if what makes you feel safe is not actually good things. We feel safe because we've learned to survive and that it's livable to go through some bad stuff, whether it's being, say, if you didn't get the right to exist, then you just kind of don't exist, but you're okay with that because you didn't die. Or to be separate and still belong. You'll go out there and you say you don't have that. You'll go out there and you'll just be like, people don't get me. Or you'll be ostracized from your groups or from your friend. You'll be like the black sheep. But then you're all right with that because you didn't die. And so your brain goes, oh, we didn't die. Perfect. Why are we not asking questions? Why are we making assumptions? Ask yourself this. In fact, practice this. The next time you're with somebody, do your best to not make any assumptions. I'm not saying this is easy, but you can. If others tell us something, we make assumptions. And if they don't tell us something, we make assumptions to fulfill our need to know and to replace the need to communicate. We always need to make assumptions because we need to make things true, or we need to have meaning. That's all humans do, is make meaning. Even if we hear something and we don't understand, we don't say, hey, I don't understand, can you repeat that? We just make assumptions about what that means, and then we believe the assumptions. It's one of the things, when I'm reading a book and I come across a word and I don't understand it, like, I have to stop and look it up right now. Otherwise, I'm going to start making assumptions about things, and I don't know where I'm going on, and all of a sudden now I'm not actually getting the message in the book. I mean, how many times does that happen with somebody? Somebody says something, and you don't know about the band, or you don't even know what they're referring to. Is it a TV show, or is it a human being? Is it an influencer? But you're like, yeah, I totally know them. Why not just ask questions? We make all sorts of assumptions because we don't have the courage to ask questions. These assumptions are made so fast and unconsciously most of the time because we have agreements to communicate that way with each other. We have agreed that it's not safe to ask questions. We have agreed that if people love us, they should know what we want or how we feel. We have already went through the you're good or you're bad phase. We all grow up. We have rewards and we have punishments. Whether that's at school or literally in your family or in your culture, or if you grew up religiously, like at your church, like literally, there's so many rewards and punishment systems that we're afraid to even be wrong about. Something stupid as, hey, did you watch the Barbie movie and you didn't? And you're like, yeah, totally, but you didn't. Why? So in which ways do you suffer and the people around you suffer because you're not able to ask questions? Because you're making assumptions instead of asking clarifying questions. We make the assumption that everyone sees life the way we do. When we believe something, we assume we are right about it to the point that we will destroy relationships in order to defend our position. When was the last time you did this? Cost yourself a friendship or a relationship, a job. We assume that others think the way that we think and feel the way that we feel and judge the way that we judge and abuse the way that we abuse. These are the biggest assumptions that we make. And this is why we have a fear of being ourselves around others, because we think everyone else will judge us and victimize us and abuse us and blame us as we do to ourselves. Like, here's a spoiler alert. There's nobody ever in the history of this world from now until then, and I don't care how crappy your life was growing up or how crappy your life is right now or how crappy your life will be in the future, no one will ever talk more shit about you than yourself. Nobody's going to berate you as much as you berate yourself. Ever. Your worst freaking enemy times 5 is you. So you cannot be afraid, or it's unwise to be afraid that other people are going to judge you, because they're not going to judge you ever even close to where you're at on yourself. So even before others have a chance to reject us, we have already rejected ourselves. Where is this for you in your life right now? For sure, you have areas of your life where you're empowered. One of the last ones I talked to you guys about said, write out a list of your 5 favorite things about yourself. Or another way to do this is, what are 5 of your superpowers? Like, me, I freaking eat is one of my superpowers. Tasting is one of my superpowers. Sleeping, I can sleep anywhere. I can fit anywhere too. Those are some of my superpowers. But what are some of your superpowers? Are you really kind? Are you really good at a skill or multiple skills? What are your superpowers that you're really, really, really good at? And where do you automatically discount yourself? Like, for me, it's like, I don't think I can ever dunk a basketball. I'm not even going to try to dunk a basketball. So that's a pretty benign way that I, like, discount myself. But, like, when I played sports in high school and junior high, probably didn't help me thinking, oh, you're short in the back of your head, or oh, you're never going to be able to dunk. Like, that's probably not useful, even though, duh, I'm not going to be able to dunk, but I don't need to be telling myself that, right? Regardless of how true that is or not. So where is it that you have already rejected yourself? And then look over at the list of your superpowers and just be like, oh, well, yeah, sure, I can't. So for me, sure, I can't dunk a basketball, but I can make a mean sandwich. Oopsie, I used the F word. Please bleep that part out. Ask as many questions as you want, but be sure that you're listening to the answers that come out. This is the way the human mind works. We also make assumptions about ourselves, and this creates a lot of inner conflict. I think I'm able to do something. You make this assumption, for instance, and then you discover that you're not able to do it. You overestimate or underestimate yourself all the time because you haven't taken the time to ask yourself questions and to answer them. Perhaps you need to gather more facts about a particular situation, or maybe you need to stop lying to yourself about what you truly want. Often, when you get into a relationship with someone you like, you have to justify why you like anyone. You only see what you want to see, and you deny there are things you don't like about the person. You lie to yourself just to make yourself right about it. Then you make assumptions, and one of the assumptions is, my love will change this person. But this is not true. Your love will not change anybody. If others change, it's because they wanted to change, not because you can change them. Nobody's going to ever listen or not listen to you until they made the decision already. Can't convince anybody of anything. They'll go in their mind, you'll say what you're going to say, and they'll go inside and be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Or they will say, that doesn't make sense. But they're the ones that only ever can convince themselves. Even if somebody says, hey, Ike, you inspired me to, somebody messaged me the other day, I inspired them to create a hot sauce company. I didn't do that. I lived my life and I said some things and they heard it, and then they went inside their brain and their system of beliefs about themselves or the world, and then they were like, oh, this makes sense, click, boom. And then they went and started a hot sauce company. Now, sure, maybe my words were a catalyst to it, but believe me, everybody I talk to doesn't go out and start their own business, so obviously it's not me, right? It's them. Everyone I go and talk to doesn't go out and live their best life and not care about things that they shouldn't care about. No, so obviously it's not me, it's the people. You're your own guru. You can't ever change anybody. But then there we are, we make our decisions, and when it interacts with other people, because people always, the whole thing is we control our own destiny and we control our own lives, and there's nothing that happens that we don't want. But then we do interact with other human beings, and we literally cannot control them outside of forcefully or manipulatively. So how is it then that you can not make assumptions, not think that you're going to change them, but still grow? And the answer is asking freaking questions. And then the extent of that is also be okay with being wrong or having to change things. Because you don't want to have to justify your pain or the choices that you make, or blame other people for your pain or the choices that you made. Especially if we're dating people. We're like, no, they're great. Especially in the beginning, we're like, there's nothing wrong with this person. They're freaking perfect. Although it's been red flag, red flag, red flag. We're just blind to them. You've likely been in this type of situation multiple times in your life. So much so that you probably make fun of yourself about it, or at least have some, oh yeah, there I was, I did that again, right? So if we're dating them, we're going to be blind. And then we were like, well, I don't want to seem like I was an idiot or blind. So you just go along with it. And then we want to shift them. And it's not just with people we date, people with where we work. We have this, we made the choice bias, like you started a new job, and then you're like, I need to make sure this job is the best job, because why did you just leave your last job, which you probably kind of sort of liked, for this new job? And so we justify a lot of the things. And if we don't like them, or if we don't like the job, then we justify that too by blaming them. or saying, oh, well, they were just being fake, or they're a player, or this company has no culture, or whatever. But it was literally we just didn't make the right decision, and we were afraid to be like, oh, well, I didn't make the right decision. Peace out. So we got to blame instead of just go, oh, well, I just made a poor decision. Who cares? The higher the stakes, the more likely we are to justify the decision and blame other people. We don't need to justify love. Love is either there or it's not there. Real love is accepting other people the way they are without trying to change them. If we try to change them again and again and again, this means we actually don't freaking like them. How many times have you tried to change somebody or changed a friend, a lover, your family members? It means you don't actually like them. It means you don't respect them either. You're not allowing them to be who they are. Like, either like them as they are or don't like them as they are. But don't blame them for being how they are just because they don't vibe with whatever you want it to be. Where are you doing these to people? Which people in particular? Look through your past relationships. Look through your current relationships. Is it freaking helping you to do that? Find someone you don't have to change at all. It's much easier to find somebody who is already the way that you want them to be instead of trying to change a person. Also, that person must love you just the way that you are. So they don't have to change you at all either, and they should accept you for how you are. If others feel they have to change you, that means they don't really love you or care about you either, just the same way as if you wanted to change them. So why be with someone if you're not the way that they want you to be? Why be with someone if they're not the way that you want them to be? But we often just get stuck in this way. We have to be what we are, so we don't have to present a false image. Do you want someone to care about you for who you're not? They're not going to end up liking you anyway. If they like you for who you're not, they don't like you anyway. They like something else. If you love me the way that I am, okay, take me. If you don't love me the way I am, bye, bye, bye. Find someone else. It may sound harsh, but this kind of communication means the personal agreements we make with others are clear and it's impeccable. Why would you want somebody that wants to change you, and why would you want somebody that you want to change? Just imagine the day that you stop making assumptions with your partner and eventually with everyone else in your life. Your way of communicating will change completely, and your relationships will no longer suffer from conflicts created by mistaken assumptions. The way to keep yourself from making assumptions is to ask questions. If you don't understand, ask questions. Have the courage to ask questions until you're clear as you can be. And even then, do not assume you know all there is to know about a given situation. Once you hear the answer, you will not have to make assumptions because you will know the freaking truth. Also, find your voice and ask for what you want. Everybody has the right to tell you no or yes, but you always have the right to ask. And everybody else has the right to ask you, and you have the right to say yes or no. Literally ask questions. The quality of your life is in direct proportion to the quality of the questions that you're willing to ask of yourself and of others. And then listen to the answers and be courageous enough to hear the answers. So what's stopping you from asking questions? What's that fear about for you? It's different for me than it is for you, and for you, and for you, and for you. So what are your fears about it? If you don't understand something, it's better for you to ask and be clear instead of making an assumption. Without making assumptions, you become impeccable, and so does your word. With clear communication, all your relationships will change, not only with your partner, but with everyone else. You won't need to make assumptions because everything becomes so clear. This is what I want. If we communicate in this way, our world becomes impeccable. This is what you want. This is what I want. If all humans could communicate in this way with impeccability, there would be no wars, no violence, no misunderstandings, no zero-sum games. So what are the things that you would like to have that you're not asking for? Whether at work, from your partner, your family members, and then ask yourself why you're afraid of those asking? Is it the people? Is it the question? Is it you don't feel like you deserve? What are the reasons? People are acting hurt for not getting what they want without ever having even been asking for what they want. There you are, like, I don't get what I want. I don't get what I want. People don't do this. People don't do that. My job this. My lover that. But you never freaking asked for what you wanted. How the hell are you going to get it? So don't make assumptions. Saying it sounds easy, but it's not easy. We often do the opposite. We go straight to assumption making. Understanding the importance of not making assumptions is not enough. What you really do is you need to practice it. Practice? We talk about practice? Yeah, you got to practice it. Taking the action over and over again. There you go. You make an assumption. Ooh, how about start by saying, oh, sorry, I made an assumption. And then ask the question. What I've noticed in my life is as I'm moving through it and I'm feeling embarrassed, whether to talk to somebody or to ask questions or to stick my face in or my nose or whatever you want to call it, get in business of things, especially as I started hanging out with celebrities and going to these events. It's like, actually, if you just go and do it, so many people don't, including famous people, including influencers, including politicians, including anybody of influence. They're so in the same, like they're all like us. We're all freaking human. That if you go in there and you just start interacting, people are gonna be like, oh, hell yeah. And you're just gonna accept you because nobody else lets you, nobody else does it. So after many repetitions, you can start practicing. You turn your black magic of assumptions into white magic of understanding. You go from being a black magician to a white magician. As a white magician, they use their word for creation, for giving, for sharing, and for loving. And that's how you create everything. So when you transform your whole dream, magic just happens in your life. What you need comes to you easily because spirit moves freely through you. This is the mastery of intent, the mastery of the spirit, the mastery of love, the mastery of gratitude, and the mastery of life. And you literally remove a wall in your way of creating all the life and the things that you want. And this is how to be free in a world where wars go on, or you don't like the president, or you don't like any of the politicians, or you don't like who you're with, or you don't like your family, or you don't like where you live, or you don't like your job. You can literally remove all those just by being this way. It's something also that I learned in my journey where I hold other people highly capable. I've gone through a lot of things in my life, and I've read a lot. I study a lot. I've gone so deep, made it the focus of my life for years and years and years, and I automatically assume other people are on the same page. And even that assumption is bad. It's less bad than probably assuming that they're bad or they're trying to screw you over. Though in the process of me making assumptions that everybody's on the same page, it causes me not to be able to relate to them, or they think, oh, I'm arrogant, or I think I'm better than them, or that I can't, like that I'm aloof. Whatever it is that they're also making assumptions based on me. It's just ask questions. Did you not understand this? Knowing that you do the same thing. You say something and then you say yes when you actually meant no. So what's assuming about things ever gotten you? What's being pessimistic about things ever gotten you? What's being condescending or skeptical about things ever gotten you? Likely nothing much. Likely nothing positive. All skepticism and pessimism and all that stuff ever got me was more of that, like heartache, pain, suffering, loss of money, loss of jobs. All right, let's go to, I saw a bunch of questions pop up. What's up, Davis, California? Send me a text, or send me a DM. We can see what's up about making some content together. People that are asked too many questions. Here's a question. So people that ask too many questions, or say they get asked too many questions, be sure that when you're asking questions that you're going to form to understand. And even if somebody is against you, like I know you can definitely annoy me by asking me too many questions, but it's usually because I'm answering questions that I don't want to be answering. So you can diffuse this in one way by saying, oh, it seems like you actually don't want to be answering my questions. Now, likely they're going to lie and say, no, I'm totally here for you to answer your questions, right? Nobody's going to get mad at you for asking questions unless they don't want to answer your questions. But don't ever stop asking questions. Even if people tell you, stop asking questions, then just stop asking them questions. Somebody was talking about lying. Don't listen to anyone. Listen to everyone. Don't talk to anyone. Talk to everyone. Don't listen to me, though. Listen to him. I'm going to eat this sandwich, and I think we're about to be done. My favorite sandwich all time, Paul Rubens. All right, let's see any other questions. I think that's it. All right, guys, that's it for today. Not only does it not matter when it's only a matter of time, your well-being is your greatest contribution to humanity. Don't let the world ever convince you otherwise, because there's no exceptions ever to this.